Melania Trump adjusted her sunglasses, the soft hum of the airplane cabin blending with the faint murmur of passengers settling into their seats. She had chosen a window seat in the business class section, a quiet corner where she could retreat into her thoughts. The flight from Washington to New York was short, but she valued these moments of solitude, a rare luxury in her life. Her sleek, tailored outfit and understated elegance drew occasional glances from fellow passengers, but she was used to the attention. She pulled out a book, her fingers tracing the spine, and prepared to lose herself in its pages. Just as the flight attendants began their final checks before takeoff, a man approached her row. He was tall, with a disheveled appearance that contrasted sharply with the polished atmosphere of the business class cabin. His shirt was slightly wrinkled, and his tie hung loosely around his neck. He stopped abruptly, his eyes narrowing as he glanced at the seat number above Melania's head. "Excuse me," he said, his voice firm but tinged with irritation. "I think you're in my seat." Melania looked up, her expression calm but guarded. She had dealt with countless interactions like this before, though rarely so direct. "I'm sorry," she replied, her tone polite but distant. "This is my seat. I booked it specifically." The man's jaw tightened, and he shifted his weight from one foot to the other. "No, you don't understand. This is my seat. I always sit here. You need to move." The tension in his voice was palpable, and Melania could feel the eyes of nearby passengers flickering toward them. She closed her book slowly, setting it on the empty seat beside her. "I assure you, this is my seat," she said, her voice steady but with an edge of firmness. "If there's been a mistake, perhaps you should speak with the flight attendant." The man's face flushed, and he took a step closer, his presence looming. "I don't need to speak with anyone. I'm telling you, this is my seat. Now, move." Melania's eyes narrowed slightly, her composure unwavering. She had faced far more intimidating situations than this, but the man's insistence was unsettling. "I'm not moving," she said, her voice low but clear. "If you have an issue, take it up with the crew. Otherwise, I suggest you find your assigned seat." The man's hands clenched into fists at his sides, and for a moment, it seemed as though he might say something more. But then he turned on his heel and stalked away, muttering under his breath. Melania watched him go, a faint crease forming between her brows. She reopened her book, but the words blurred on the page as her mind replayed the encounter. Something about the man's demeanor had left her uneasy, a nagging feeling that this wasn't over. As the plane taxied down the runway, Melania glanced out the window, the city of Washington shrinking beneath her. She tried to shake off the tension, but the man's words lingered in her mind like an unwelcome echo. She didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. The plane leveled off at cruising altitude, and the cabin settled into a quiet rhythm. Melania tried to refocus on her book, but the earlier encounter had left her on edge. She glanced toward the aisle, half expecting the man to return. Just as she was beginning to relax, she heard footsteps approaching. Her stomach tightened as she looked up and saw him standing there again, his expression darker than before. "I'm not asking this time," he said, his voice low but sharp. "You're in my seat, and I'm not going to let some entitled woman take what's mine. Move. Now." Melania's jaw tightened, her patience wearing thin. She set her book down again and met his gaze squarely. "I've already told you, this is my seat. I don't know why you're so fixated on this, but I'm not going to argue with you. Leave me alone." The man's face twisted into a sneer. "You think you're special, don't you? Just because you're married to some rich guy, you think you can do whatever you want. Well, guess what? You're not above the rules. This is my seat, and I'm not letting you steal it." Melania's eyes flashed with anger, but she kept her voice calm, refusing to let him rattle her. "I'm not stealing anything. I paid for this seat, and I have every right to be here. If you have a problem, take it up with the airline. But I'm not moving." The man leaned in closer, his breath hot and his voice dripping with disdain. "You don't get it, do you? I don't care who you are or who you're married to. You're not going to push me around. Now, get out of my seat before I make you. Melania's heart pounded, but she refused to back down. She reached for her phone, her fingers trembling slightly as she unlocked it. If you don't leave me alone right now, I'm calling my husband. And trust me, you don't want to deal with him. The man laughed, a harsh, mocking sound. Oh, please. You think I'm scared of some washed-up politician? Go ahead, call him. Let's see what he's going to do from thousands of miles away. Melania didn't respond. Instead, she quickly dialed Donald's number, her hand steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The phone rang twice before he answered, his voice sharp and impatient. What is it, Melania? I'm in the middle of something. Donald, she said, her voice low but urgent. There's a man here on the plane who's harassing me. He's demanding that I give up my seat, and he's becoming aggressive. I need your help. There was a brief pause on the other end of the line, and then Donald's tone shifted, his voice cold and commanding. Put him on the phone. Melania held the phone out to the man, her expression steely. He wants to talk to you. The man hesitated, his bravado faltering for the first time. He glanced at the phone, then back at Melania, his sneer fading into uncertainty. What? No, I'm not talking to him. This is between you and me. Melania didn't lower the phone. Take it, she said, her voice firm. Or are you too scared to face him? The man's face flushed with anger, but he snatched the phone from her hand, holding it to his ear. Yeah. What do you want? Donald's voice crackled through the phone, loud enough for Melania to hear. Listen to me very carefully. You have exactly 2 minutes to apologize to my wife and walk away. If you don't, I'll make sure you regret it for the rest of your life. Do you understand? The man's eyes widened, and he took a step back, his bravado crumbling. I didn't mean any harm, he stammered. I just wanted my seat. I don't care what you wanted, Donald snapped. You don't get to harass my wife. Now, apologize and leave her alone. Or do I need to make a call? The man's face paled, and he quickly handed the phone back to Melania, his hands shaking. I'm sorry, he muttered, avoiding her gaze. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I'll just go. Melania took the phone, her expression calm but triumphant. Thank you, Donald, she said softly. I'll call you later. She ended the call and watched as the man slunk back to his seat, his earlier arrogance replaced by a palpable sense of defeat. The other passengers, who had been watching the scene unfold, quickly looked away, pretending not to have noticed. Melania took a deep breath, her heart still racing, but a small smile played on her lips. She had handled the situation with grace, but she knew it wasn't over yet. As she settled back into her seat, she couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter had been about more than just a seat. There was something deeper at play, something she didn't fully understand. But for now, she was safe, and that was enough. The rest of the flight passed uneventfully, but Melania couldn't relax. She kept glancing toward the man's seat, half expecting him to cause more trouble. But he stayed put, his head down and his shoulders hunched, as if trying to make himself invisible. When the plane finally landed in New York, Melania was one of the first to disembark. She moved quickly through the terminal, her heels clicking against the polished floor, eager to put the incident behind her. As she stepped outside, her phone buzzed in her hand. It was Donald. She answered, her voice calm but tinged with relief. I'm here. The flight was eventful, but I'm fine. Good, Donald said, his tone brisk. I've already taken care of it. That guy won't bother you again. Melania frowned, her curiosity piqued. What do you mean, you've taken care of it? There was a pause on the other end of the line, and then Donald chuckled, a low, satisfied sound. Let's just say I made a few calls. He's been banned from that airline, and he's going to have a hard time flying anywhere else for a while. People like him need to learn their place. Melania sighed, a mix of gratitude and unease settling in her chest. "Thank you, Donald. I appreciate it. But do you think that was necessary? He seemed scared enough after you talked to him." "Scared isn't enough," Donald replied, his voice hardening. "He disrespected you, and that's not something I'm going to let slide. You're my wife, and no one gets to treat you like that. End of story." Melania nodded, even though he couldn't see her. "I understand. I don't want this to escalate." It was already uncomfortable enough. "It's handled," Donald said firmly. "Now, focus on your day. I'll see you tonight." He hung up before she could respond, leaving Melania standing on the curb, her thoughts swirling. She appreciated Donald's protectiveness, but there was a part of her that wondered if his actions had been too extreme. The man had been rude and aggressive, but banning him from the airline seemed excessive. Still, she knew better than to argue with Donald once he'd made up his mind. As her driver pulled up to the curb, Melania pushed the incident from her mind. She had more important things to focus on: meetings, appearances, and the endless demands of her public life. But as she slid into the back seat of the car, she couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the end. The man's anger, Donald's retaliation, it all felt like pieces of a larger puzzle, one she wasn't sure she wanted to solve. For now, though, she would move forward, as she always did. But deep down, she knew that this encounter had left a mark, one that would linger long after the flight had faded into memory. As Melania settled into the car, her mind still reeling from the events on the plane, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was an unknown number. She hesitated for a moment before answering, her voice cautious. "Hello. Mrs. Trump." The voice on the other end was shaky, almost pleading. It was the man from the plane. It's me. The guy from the flight. I need to talk to you." Melania's grip tightened on the phone, her initial instinct to hang up. But something in his tone stopped her. He sounded desperate, not angry. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice cool but not unkind. I just got off the phone with the airline," he said, his words tumbling out in a rush. "They told me I'm banned. For life. And then I got a call from some lawyer saying I could be facing legal action if I don't. If I don't make this right. Please, Mrs. Trump, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I was just having a bad day, and I took it out on you. I'm so sorry." Melania leaned back in her seat, her expression unreadable. She had expected Donald to take action, but this was more than she had anticipated. "You were very aggressive," she said slowly. "You made me feel unsafe. Do you understand that?" "I do," he said, his voice cracking. "I was completely out of line. I don't know what came over me. I've never done anything like that before. I swear, I'm not a bad person. I lost control, and I'm so sorry." Melania closed her eyes, weighing her options. She could hang up and let Donald's punishment run its course, or she could give the man a chance to make amends. She wasn't sure which was the right choice, but she knew she didn't want to carry this anger with her. "Where are you now?" she asked. "I'm still at the airport," he said. "I was supposed to catch a connecting flight, but... well, I guess that's not happening anymore. I'll do anything to fix this, Mrs. Trump. Please." Melania sighed, her resolve softening. "Wait there," she said. "I'll come back." 20 minutes later, Melania walked back into the airport, her driver trailing discreetly behind her. She spotted the man immediately. He was sitting on a bench near the gate, his head in his hands. When he saw her approaching, he stood up quickly, his face pale and his hands trembling. "Mrs. Trump," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you for coming back. I don't know what to say." "You already said it," Melania replied, her tone calm but firm. "You apologized. But I need to understand why this happened. Why were you so determined to take that seat? Why did you treat me that way? The man looked down, shame written across his face. It's stupid, he muttered. I've been under a lot of pressure lately. Work, family, money. It's all falling apart. And when I saw you sitting there, looking so perfect, I guess I just snapped. I felt like the world was unfair, like you had everything and I had nothing. I know that's not an excuse, but that's what was going through my head. Melania studied him for a moment, her expression softening. She had faced her own share of struggles, and she understood how pressure could make people act in ways they normally wouldn't. What's your name? She asked. Michael, he said. Michael Carter. Michael, she repeated, her voice gentle now. I appreciate your honesty. But you need to understand that how you treated me was unacceptable. No matter what you're going through, you can't take it out on others. Do you understand that? He nodded vigorously. I do. I swear, I've learned my lesson. I'll never do anything like that again. Melania hesitated, then reached into her bag and pulled out a business card. This is my assistant's number, she said, handing it to him. If you're serious about making a change, call her. She can connect you with resources, counseling, financial advice, whatever you need. But this is your chance to turn things around. Don't waste it. Michael stared at the card, his eyes wide with disbelief. You're helping me? After everything I did? I believe in second chances, Melania said simply. But this is the only one you'll get. Don't make me regret it. As Melania walked away, Michael sank back onto the bench, the weight of what had just happened settling over him. He had expected anger, retribution, maybe even humiliation. But instead, he had been given a lifeline, a chance to start over. He clutched the business card in his hand, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest. Meanwhile, Melania climbed back into the car, her mind still processing the encounter. She pulled out her phone and dialed Donald's number. He answered on the first ring, his voice sharp. Did he bother you again? No, Melania said. I went back to talk to him. He apologized, and I gave him a chance to make things right. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. You did what? Donald finally asked, his tone incredulous. After what he did to you? He was wrong, Melania admitted. But he's also human. He's struggling, and I think he deserves a chance to do better. I've already handled it, Donald. Let it go. Donald sighed, clearly unhappy but unwilling to argue. Fine. But if he so much as looks at you the wrong way again, I'm stepping in. Understood. Understood, Melania said, a small smile playing on her lips. Thank you for looking out for me. As the car pulled away from the curb, Melania leaned back in her seat, her thoughts drifting. The encounter had been unsettling, but it had also reminded her of the power of compassion. She didn't know if Michael would truly change, but she had given him the opportunity. And in doing so, she had reclaimed her own sense of peace. The world was full of conflict and chaos, but sometimes, all it took was a moment of understanding to bridge the divide. And for Melania, that was enough.